One summer morning. Today I'm going to share with you a story that begins on a beautiful, quiet morning when the world seemed to hold its breath in anticipation. It was one of those mornings that felt full of possibility, a day that promised something more than the ordinary. The sky was painted in hues of soft orange and pink as the sun slowly rose, casting its first golden light across the sleepy town. The air was warm and refreshing, carrying with it the scent of dew-kissed grass and blooming flowers. Birds chirped merrily from the trees, and the sound of a distant brook trickled through the valley. The village, usually calm and peaceful, was now filled with a sense of quiet excitement. The air itself seemed to vibrate with the energy of a new day. In a small cottage at the edge of the village lived a young girl named Amira. She was a dreamer, with wild, curly hair and bright eyes that always seemed to be searching for something more. Today was no ordinary day. It was the day of the village's annual summer fair. It was an event everyone eagerly awaited, a day when the entire village came together to celebrate the changing season with music, games, food, and laughter. Amira had been looking forward to this day for weeks, and this morning she could hardly contain her excitement. She woke up early, as was her habit, and quickly got ready, her mind racing with all the possibilities of what the day might hold. Her mother, who was busy in the kitchen preparing breakfast, smiled warmly when she saw her daughter. "You're up early, Amira," she said, her voice filled with affection. "You must be eager for the fair today." Amira grinned and nodded eagerly. "I can't wait, Mama. There's so much to see and do. I'm going to try everything this year." Her mother chuckled softly. "Remember, it's not always about doing everything, my dear. Sometimes the best part of the day is simply being in the moment and enjoying whatever comes your way." Amira's mother's words lingered in her mind, though she didn't fully understand them. To her, the fair was a chance to experience everything: the rides, the games, the food stalls, the excitement of it all. But she promised herself that she would listen to her mother's advice and try to savor the day. The sun was higher in the sky by the time Amira and her family arrived at the fairground. The fair had already begun, and the air was filled with the sounds of cheerful laughter, lively music, and the hum of excited voices. Amira's eyes sparkled with joy as she looked around at all the colorful stalls, the children running and playing, the adults chatting and laughing. Everywhere she looked, there was something to catch her attention. The vibrant colors of the tents, the smell of freshly baked pies, the sound of the merry-go-round spinning in the distance, it was a sensory overload of happiness. Amira couldn't wait to dive into the festivities. She joined her friends and immediately ran towards the games area. There were ring tosses, ball tosses, and all sorts of competitions where one could win prizes. She tried her hand at every game, her laughter ringing through the air as she cheered for herself and her friends. She won a small stuffed bear at one booth and a bright yellow balloon at another. Her arms were soon full of prizes and her face was flushed with happiness. The day passed quickly, with Amira and her friends bouncing from one activity to the next. She barely had time to stop and eat, her focus entirely on the next thrill, the next game, the next exciting moment. The fairground seemed to be alive with energy, and Amira fed off that energy, eager to experience as much of it as she could. She raced through the maze, screamed on the Ferris wheel, and indulged in all the delicious treats that the food stalls had to offer. But as the day wore on, a feeling of emptiness began to settle in her heart, though she couldn't quite explain why. It wasn't until the evening, when the sun was beginning to set and the first stars began to twinkle in the sky, that Amira noticed an old woman sitting alone on a bench at the edge of the fairground. The woman was older, with silver hair tied back in a loose bun, and she wore a simple white dress. She didn't seem to belong to the hustle and bustle of the fair. Her face was calm, her eyes watching the crowd with a kind, knowing look, as if she had seen it all before. Amira, curious and intrigued, wandered over to the woman. "Hello," she said shyly, sitting down next to her. Good fine. Are you enjoying the fair?" The woman smiled gently and nodded. "I'm enjoying it in my own way," she said, "but sometimes it's not about being a part of the crowd. Sometimes it's about stepping back and simply observing." Amira frowned slightly. "But it's so much fun," she exclaimed. "I've done so many things today: games, rides, food. I don't want to miss anything." The old woman's smile deepened. "You've had a busy day, haven't you?" she said, her voice soft yet filled with wisdom. "But do you ever stop and think about why you do all those things? Are they truly bringing you joy, or are you just following along with the noise around you?" Amira paused, not quite sure how to respond. The question made her think. She had been so caught up in the excitement, in the thrill of the moment, that she hadn't really stopped to ask herself why she was doing it all. She had done so much, yet somehow she felt empty. It wasn't the same feeling of happiness that she had expected. The old woman continued, her voice gentle. "Sometimes in our rush to experience everything, we forget to appreciate the small moments. It's not always about doing more, Amira. Sometimes it's about doing less and truly being present in the moment. Take a deep breath, look around you, and feel the joy of just being here, right now. Sometimes the simplest moments hold the most beauty."